Phil made it back in spite of technical difficulties. He's coming in now, I think. He's trying to. We'll give him a second to get here, and then we'll get going with today's EXSIN Live. I'm here from our live little coffee shop down in Edmond, Oklahoma, hanging out, drinking some coffee, and waiting for my partner Phil to come online. It looks like he dropped out. That's okay. So today, Phil's not here. I'm going to start with a story because my favorite thing to talk about. As a lot of you know that watch us, I spent a long time in the military. And during that time, I had a very loving and caring mother who put up with me being gone all the time. And she was awesome. And we were talking about things, businesses she owned, things she did, and I would offer suggestions. And she would always tell me this statement, which never ceases to amaze me to this day. She said this: Dave, business is not like the military. You don't know what you're talking about. I got this. Now, the funny part is the realization that I've had over the last few years that I've been out working in business and having businesses and growing businesses is this. The small business owners that don't act like the military and don't put systems in place are working 20 hours a day, 8 days a week, and have no life. The ones that are acting like the military and have systems in place and operations manuals are moving along and growing their business. Phil is back. What are your thoughts on this, Phil?
Yeah, I think we talk about this a lot because of both of our backgrounds in the military as well as in the private sector and business, and working with large organizations, small organizations, kind of in between. When you and I first merged our companies years ago and got together, one thing we talked about was how it's a real problem that private sector.
You're breaking up, but you're coming back.
You got me now?
Got you now. You're good.
Sorry about that. But one of the real problems is there's no consistency in how they execute processes, systems, whether it's training, whether it's just day-to-day operational stuff. It was kind of the Wild West. And from two guys that grew up in our life with very structured processes and systems and chain of command and unit cohesion and all those things that we love about the military, it's a foreign thing to see, right? Because we know how it works when those things are implemented. So, very, very much do not believe that there's not similarities. They may not. People in the private sector may not execute on a daily basis, but when they do, it works big time.
So let's lay it out. Let's lay out why it works. I think knowing the why is important for everybody. And it's really like this. In the military, we take young people that are 18 years old. Most of them come from rough backgrounds. Let's be honest. They're struggling. They're trying to make a difference in life. They go to a place to get college paid for or school or whatever. They show up there and they have no sense of direction and guidance. The military puts them in basic training, breaks them down, and rebuilds them systematically. They give them a manual to follow, and they go out and do what they're supposed to do. And the team has people above them that teach them how to do it, right? So let's look at your company. You hire a new employee. They don't know anything about your culture and what you do, and you have no manual, no system for them to follow, and you go, hey, just go work, sell stuff. How successful do you think you're going to be? How many times are you going to grab the reins and jump in and push them out of the way and not develop them into the employee you want them to be? So that's where the military piece of the military transitions extremely well to business, because business owners need employees right now. They need employees that can do what they can do, and they need employees that have no experience but have a way to develop into the system and the culture. Right, Phil?
Yeah, and I think it's everything always starts with leadership. It starts at the top. There's if you show me a disorganized, non-disciplined organization, I will show you an organization that has a disorganized, non-disciplined leaders. And it's look at how you raise your kids. I mean, you don't have to. Dave gets tired of hearing me say this, but I know we're lockstep on this. Running a business is like running your household. It's just, there's nuances, but it's essentially the same thing. You're going to establish a standard. You're going to establish rules or a process that you're going to follow, a system you're going to follow. And then there's going to be opportunity for training and education and adjustment as needed along the way. Now, if you're consistent in the execution of that, what you'll find is there's less adjustment needed. You can spend more time on the fun stuff, getting better, taking on new talent, new tasks, new responsibilities, but it's very similar. There's, Claudia just put down overwhelm is a real thing. Absolutely, it's a real thing. I love to use the analogy. If you're overwhelmed, it feels like you're in a firefight, to use a military analogy, and you got one magazine that's half full left and you're fighting 5 people. Well, you're not just going to stand up and say, well, that's it, I lose, it's over. Yeah, nothing I can do here. It was fun while it lasted. No, when you're feeling overwhelmed, that's why systems are so important. Systems get rid of being overwhelmed. They give you a process to follow. They give you an absolute 100% track to follow to get to where you need to be. Great businesses have great systems. Does anybody think, whether you like Bezos or you don't like Bezos, look at Amazon, one of the most successful businesses in the universe. Do you think they have systems? Do you think they have processes?
I can vouch for that. I can vouch for that.
So it's just a, the hardest thing to do in our line of work, Dave, it's not the identifying what needs to happen.
No,
it's not creating the process or the system that fits that organization. It's getting the human beings to execute on the new system and the process. That is always the tough part, because it's human beings. I mean, human, we're all, listen, me, you, everybody that's joined us today, everybody that hasn't joined us today, everybody in the universe, we're jacked up in our own way. We all have stuff that we got to unpack. We all got, and I don't care who you are. If you don't think Jeff Bezos has stuff to unpack, look at that ridiculous cowboy hat he put on after he flew around in his little rocket ship here a month or 2 ago. I mean, everybody's got stuff to unpack. The key is, though, when you're talking about systems, is it should give you the confidence to know that you have a process to follow to get to where you want to be.
Right. So we talked about the why systems. So now we've got people sitting in this room that are great comments in here that have kind of failed and pivoted and fixed it, and failed and pivoted and fixed it. So let me start with this for people watching right now. You are going to make mistakes. You're going to fall on your face. You don't fail until you stop trying. So dust yourself off, learn a lesson, and move on. Start there. Now, the thing I want to talk about next is, how do you build systems? I'm going to give you a really simple thing to do that you can do right now. Write down every task for every position in your organization in a checklist. That's your first system. And the way you get better at that, even if you're a solopreneur, you look at your company, what it looks like a few years from now, you build the org chart and all the tasks that person in that line of work has to do, a task list for each one of them. And then if you're all those people, those are all the tasks you have to complete in a given week. And as you're going through this task, I want you to think of this process right here: innovate, quantify, and execute. So innovate, build the list, quantify what's working and what's not. So follow the stats, the data. How are your sales doing? How are you going through it? And then execute. Put the system into execution where you're quantifying, and then start the cycle over and make improvements along the way. What's funny to me, what is funny to me about this whole thing is that, and I'm going to use the military again. The military goes through these cycles where they find some, total quality management or continuous improvement or a Kaizen or a green belt or a black belt. They're all doing the same thing. None of it's different. It hasn't changed. But people freaked
Sexy.
out because it was a new
It's
product.
sexy though, Dave.
It is.
It's sexy.
And somebody got an OPR bullet out of it, right? They got a new edition of their performance. Developed the new. No, you didn't. You did the same thing we were doing before. You just renamed it. So it's all about continuous improvement.
Yeah. And I think too, one thing that's really important for business owners, you got to quit acting like you got all the damn answers. I mean, good Lord, everybody needs to get over themselves. I don't care if you're running a multi-billion-dollar international organization or you're running a one-person shop that you are the janitor and the CEO and everything in between. It's okay to not know everything. It's okay to have questions. It's okay to have doubts. I mean, we put these unrealistic, absolutely unrealistic expectations on ourselves. And to be quite frank, it's damaging to you as a human being. It's really damaging to your business. I mean, you've got to quit doing that stuff. It does not serve a purpose. It just flat doesn't serve a purpose. You know, I think there the crap we tell ourselves every day does more harm than anything else in business.
Blockers.
I'm not good enough. I don't know this. I'm not smart enough. I'm not this. I'm not. That's excuse my language. That's bullshit. You know, you are good enough. You are smart enough, but you got to have systems and processes to help keep you on track. That doesn't make you dumb. That makes you smart. I mean, it doesn't make you incompetent. It makes you confidence enough to realize the things you need help with. You know, so quit putting these unrealistic expectations on yourself. And if you have employees, don't put unrealistic expectations on your employees. Everybody, when people say, I just need employees that care as much about my business as I do. Well, good luck with that. It's not their business. You talk about an unrealistic expectation. You're going to hire somebody for $12 an hour and expect them to care as much as you do. It's not going to happen. Now, is it okay to say, I need employees that are committed to doing a good job every day, taking care of our customers, working hard? Absolutely. That's all 100% acceptable expectation. But don't create these false narratives. I mean, you just cannot do that. It serves no purpose.
Yeah, I want to jump in here on this because I think it's really important because you made a culture comment in all of that. And the amount your employees care about your business directly relates to how much you empower them and how you develop them in the company culture. Yeah. Right? If you give them systems and you show them the direction, you empower them to do their job, and they feel like they have ownership in the process, they're going to care more than if you're barking orders at them all the time and tell them how bad they're screwing up. And I think that's one of the things. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
And I think that's one of the things that's one of the things, benefits of growing up in the military is the whole goal of that process is to tear you down to your core and build you back up as a confident warrior that can go do anything. Business owners aren't following that mentality in their business in a lot of cases. You know, that you want to tear them down into your processes and then build them back up as warriors for your business. You know, whatever your company is, they're your warrior that loves and is passionate about the goals you set for the team together. And if you build that, you have an amazing company. You have IBM, you have Amazon, you have Google, you have Apple. I mean, there are people that are, Apple's a cult-like company because they have developed a culture that even their customers are a part of, right? Because of the way they present themselves.
I mean, I went to the dark side and had an Android for about 1.5 years. I felt like I was cheating on my wife the whole time I had it. I felt like I was doing something wrong, right? I mean, you're right. They make you feel like you're part of the culture of being, with Apple. It's an amazing thing to see. And I think too, for our small business owners, understand this. And Dave did a great job of teeing this up, but there are going to be days that you feel like you've done nothing right. There's going to be days when clients are telling you how bad you are. They're going to be telling you how bad your service is, how bad that's fine. Don't take that in. Don't let that live in the most important 6 inches of your life are between your ears. Do not let them set up residence between your ears, because the next day you're going to come out and you're going to have customers tell you that you guys have the greatest service in the world. You know, I had a meeting this morning, or was talking to a guy this morning, I should say, and we've got a new restaurant coming in to the town I live in. And he said, well, are you excited about that? And I go, yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's just another fast food joint, you know, not a big deal. And he said, yeah, but he said, it's going to force Brahms. He said, I don't like eating the Brahms because they got those soggy, crinkly French fries. Well, that's my favorite thing at Brahms. I love the crinkled French fries at Brahms, right? My point is one man's trash is another man's treasure. One man's expectation or one woman's expectation of how service is supposed to go can be completely unrealistic because they're having stuff that they're unpacking in their life. You know, in business, you can't take things personal. You can't get upset with people. You got to understand that it is what it is, and you got to follow your system and your process to deliver excellence to your end users, whether that's your customers or your employees. And don't get it twisted. If you are an owner, your employees are customers of yours. They really are. You've got to make sure that you're treating them in such a way that they are able to learn, they're able to grow, they're able to develop. Now, does that mean that the customer's always right? Absolutely not. And I think anybody that says the customer's always right is full of crap. I mean, I understand the intent of that saying, you know, do everything you can to try to make them happy, do everything you can to try to satisfy them. But the customer is not always right. And if you have some jackwagon teaching you that in sales training or in customer service training, run from those people, because that's not real world stuff. That's some crap they read in a book. Okay. So understand this. Your employees are important, your customers are important, but the most important person that you have to be taken care of if you're a business owner is yourself. You've got to be equipping yourself, you've got to be educating yourself, you've got to be adjusting, you've got to be adapting to the situations. That's the number one job, because if you're not doing it, there's absolutely no way that you're going to be able to train your people to do that for themselves. Zero chance. Did I lose Dave?
No, I'm still here. I'm just kind of, reveling in the moment of that conversation, Phil. There were some wise words. I was almost about to get into preacher mode over all that, because, I was about to say amen and hallelujah. Because
I want to read what Jennifer Webster is a client of ours, great business owner, wonderful human being, has become a great friends of ours. And we care deeply about her and her family and her business. But Jennifer, I'm going to pick on you a little bit. She's one of these people that doesn't give herself enough credit. Would you agree with that, Dave?
I would. She dealt with some challenging stuff on the employee side, and she's handled it splendidly.
Handled it like a champ. But I want to share this 100%. Had 2 vendors complain yesterday and say some pretty harsh things about new systems we're putting in place. Believe it or not, I held my tongue, wished them well, and I will be damned if not 2 hours after that, 2 new people came in wanting to be vendors and were ecstatic about fees, commissions, etc. And this is the whole thing, right? Human beings, we are all, I want to say this one more time, we are all jacked up in our own way. Every one of us have stuff you have to unpack. It depends a lot of times on the day. I mean, that's just part of being alive. That's just part of being a human being. You're going to screw up. You're going to muck things up. You're going to be off on a decision. But you got, like Dave said, you got to keep fighting. You got to keep going forward. My dad always told me, if you get in a fight, you get punched in the face, you got one of 2 choices. You can lay there and bleed, or you can stand up and fight back. But there's not a third choice. I mean, there's not a third choice. So I appreciate Jennifer sharing. Again, she's one of the good ones out there, but the systems is hard, Dave, because it requires people to take a hard look at how they're doing things, and we become comfortable, even if it's wrong. we become comfortable in how we're doing things. You can be doing them completely wrong, but it's familiar. And so too many times we'll see people ram their heads against the wall trying to do the same stuff and get a different outcome. And it just doesn't work. You've got to be willing to change things up. You've got to be willing to take a hard look at yourself and unpack your junk so you can help other people unpack theirs, get better, implement these new systems, and have great success in your business.
Now I'm going to tell everybody a secret as we close this out. These ideas from Phil and I aren't original, right?
Dadgummit, Dave.
Well, I want to give credit where credit's due. There's been 1,000 people that have talked about this over the years. They've written books about it. They teach it in school.
For years.
And the challenge we run into with businesses and why we want to help so much is that we get a lot of pushback. You know, you get my business didn't like that, or you don't understand what I do, or this. Look, folks,
our industry's different. We're different.
Right? Yeah. I'm going to be a little bit fatherish here, but you need to humble yourself. Okay. Yeah. You need to take a deep breath and this is every business owner. When things go bad, you need to pause, take a deep breath and go, what am I missing? And that's a question I've always, I always ask myself when somebody says something different that I don't agree with. Okay, what am I missing? Why am I not understanding what they're saying? And sometimes I go, I don't agree with them, and that's just the way it is. And other times I go, man, I wish I'd thought of that sooner, right? Yeah. But at least I gave it the time to kind of percolate in my head and go, well, am I messing that up too, or is it something I could do better? So all I'll ask for you guys today, if you watch this, is let this percolate with you and think through it. If you want some book recommendations that can validate what we're saying, I've got a whole bunch of them. Shoot an email to me, dave@exsin.co. I'm more than happy to share those recommendations with you. But let's start a conversation about how we can make your business better.
Well, and I want to say this too. Dave and I are very proud of this, and we're getting close enough. I'm going to tell people about it. We've got a book coming out. We're finishing our last chapter right now, cleaning up some stuff. I love the title. It's Stop Whining and Be Bold, because I think there's, and I don't love it because it's our title. I love it because I think it really speaks to what people need to hear. Nobody cares that the world's tough. Nobody cares that, you estimated X for your taxes. You sold a lot more. So now you got owe more tax. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. So it does no good to stop whining. You just need to stop whining. And you got to be bold in your actions. You got to literally step out. Now Jennifer knows about our book, so now she's going to be mad at us because we hadn't told her. But the funny thing is, Jen, is we got a second one we're starting to work on too. We've actually got another one coming out. But bottom line is this, guys: you don't have unrealistic expectations for yourself. You're going to get things wrong. It's okay. Learn from them, move forward, keep moving forward, always be moving forward. Don't ever move back, always move forward, and do it with a heart where you're wanting to get better and to help people. If you'll do those things, you'll be amazed at the success you'll have.
With those wise words, he let the cat out of the bag, so I got to put that back in the bag. But with that, great, great discussion today. I appreciate all the comments and all the people that showed up today to listen to us and be part of this. For those that watch later, have a great day. And with that, Dave and Phil, EXSIN Live, we are out of here.